Okay, so this is the first video about differentiation, and basically at this stage you don't really need to know what differentiation is about, but to give you a rough idea, for any function, if you differentiate it, it will give you the gradient of that function. So if I look at this curve, I could work out the gradient of any point on that curve, which is really quite cool and useful, but we'll come to that later. So at the moment we're treating differentiation as just a method, so therefore let's write down what the method is. When you differentiate with respect to a letter. So if I differentiate with respect to x, then I look at all the x's and apply this rule to it. So if I was differentiating to r, then I'd look for r's and apply this rule towards it. And my method is such: I multiply by the power, I subtract 1 from the power. So that's all good, nice and easy. But let's just look at a couple of special cases to start with in this basic stuff. I'm differentiating with respect to x. So when I differentiate y, I'm going to get dy by dx, because that tells me I've differentiated with respect to x. I've highlighted 2 bits, I'm just going to ignore those for a minute. So I'm going to multiply by the power and subtract 1 from the power. So if I've got x squared, if I multiply by the power, that becomes 2x. I subtract 1 from the power, 2 minus 1 is 1. Sweet. Right, minus. Now, what's the power of 3x? Well, the 3 doesn't have a power. The x does though. X is actually x to the power of 1. It's just we've got used to not writing that 1. So I've got 3 times 1, which is 3, and then I subtract 1 from the power, which is x, 0. And what's my x's there? Well, there aren't. There's x0 there. And if I multiply anything by 0, I get 0. So let's just finish off this one. So that's 2x, I don't need to put the 1 in there, minus, now 3 lots of x to the power 0, x to the power 0 is 1, we know anything to the power 0 is 1, so 3 lots of 1 is 3, so if I differentiate my first function, I end up with dy by dx equals 2x minus 3. Now let's look at a different one. I've got f of x, so it's just a different way of saying I've got y equals. I've got a function of x, so let's use a different notation. So let's say f dash of x. The dash means I've differentiated. Now sometimes, really annoyingly, they'll suddenly put y dash in there. Don't worry about it. It's just the same thing. So in each one of these I'm going to multiply by the power and then subtract 1 from the power. So 2 times 3 is 6. X, take 1 from the power. 3 take away 1 is 2. Minus 4x to the power 1. So 1 times 4 is 4. Take 1 from the power. Done. No x's. Finished. So if I differentiate 2x cubed minus 4x minus 9, I get 6x squared minus 4. Differentiation. Easy.